Scales here with another art lesson. Today we're going to paint big flowers. We're going to be using paper plates that we cut up into flower shapes, and then we're going to paint them with tempera paint. Today we're going to be inspired by a famous American artist named Georgia O'Keeffe, who painted and drew very large close-up pictures of flowers. She painted over 200 different flower paintings in her lifetime. She used watercolors and oil paints to paint. We're going to be using tempera paint today. Let me show you some of Georgia O'Keeffe's flowers. The title of this painting is Blue Morning Glories. You may see morning glories. They're open in the morning and they close in the evening. If you ever go for a walk in the morning, you may see them. On the bottom flower, kind of outside from the middle, I love the way Georgia O'Keeffe blended the blue and the white paint together. That's called a fade or a blend. And then at the bottom of the painting, you'll see the yellow center of the flower. A picture of a white morning glory. What other colors do you see in this picture? I see yellow, gray, and lots of shades of green. One of the challenges for Georgia O'Keeffe is that she was painting a white flower on a white canvas. So she had to see all the other colors that make up white when you're making a white painting. This is a red painting of an amaryllis. Amaryllises grow around here as bulbs at Christmas time or in the winter. Notice how Georgia O'Keeffe in all of her flower paintings paints really up close. You can see different colors in the petals and you can see the middle part of the flower. This is called the pistil of the flower. Sometimes in Georgia O'Keeffe's flower painting, she will paint leaves with her flowers, but you'll never or rarely see anything else in her flower paintings besides things that relate to the flowers. Now it's time for us to paint our flowers. Supplies you're going to need today are 3 paper plates. You need a paintbrush. You need 2 different paint colors that you would like to paint with, and you need a pair of scissors. The first thing you're going to do is take one of your paper plates and cut triangle notches out of your paper plate. This is going to make your petals for your flower kind of squared off or square shaped, but that's fine. I'm going to go all the way around my paper plate. I'm going to leave a space for my hand to hold my petals in between when I'm cutting my triangle shapes out. I'm going to cut out about 6 or 7 or 8 of these triangle shapes. If your triangles are not all exactly the same size, it is totally fine. Then I'm going to put that plate aside and I'm going to draw a wavy line about in the middle of my next paper plate. Now this plate is a little bit harder to cut out, but I'm going to try to cut out on my wavy line. Remember, whenever you're cutting something, you're holding your scissor hand still, except for opening and closing the scissors. And you're moving the paper with your other hand. In this case, it's my left hand. So I cut this out, and then I didn't like how the edges were pointy, so I rounded them just like the wavy line on the rest of my flower. Now I have 2 flowers that I get to paint. Let's review how you hold the paintbrush. You want to hold the paintbrush just like you're going to hold your pencil, and you want to hold it down kind of close to the bristles where the metal part meets the wooden part of your paintbrush handle. I'm going to paint my first plate. I put a piece of large paper underneath my plate so I wouldn't get paint all over my table. I'm going to paint my petals first. I'm going to change the direction that I'm painting or using my paintbrush. I'm going to paint left to right, and then I'm going to paint top to bottom because I want to get paint in all those little grooves that are on the edges of my paper plate and in that groove that's outside the center of my paper plate. I want to cover the white part of my plate with orange paint. I'm not pushing down too hard because I really love my paintbrush and I don't want to ruin the bristles. Now it's time to clean my paintbrush. I I just tap it lightly on the bottom of my water cup and I dry it off with a little bit of paper, with a paper towel. And I'm not pinching it too hard. I'm just squeezing it a little bit to get the extra paint off. Now I'm going to set that plate aside and I'm going to paint my other plate with a different color. I'm going to hold my paintbrush the same way and I'm going to use the same technique for putting the paint on the plate. I'm going to paint left to right and then I'm going to paint top to bottom to get paint in all those little ridges on the edge of my plate. I'm not going to push down too hard and I'm going to work with my paintbrush bristles, just gliding them lightly across the surface of my paint. I don't want to ever scrub with my paintbrush because that will ruin my paintbrush. Now I'm going to put this bluish purple paint to the side to dry. You can cut out stems and leaves, or if you can get someone to pre-cut some for you, you can use those underneath your flowers and someone can help you staple them to your flowers. Once you get the stem stapled, you can display your flowers or hang them up, or you could go back into the middle of your flower and embellish them or decorate them with polka dots, or stripes or circles or any kind of pattern or shape you'd like to use. I used tempera sticks, but you could also use oil pastels to go back in and draw in the center of your flowers. Boys and girls, I will see you next time.